Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. So today I am going to be reviewing Digest, 10 short stories by convicted and plausible people-eaters by Evan Witmer. Evan contacted me on my Goodreads account telling me how much he liked my channel, so thank you so much for saying that, Evan. It's always appreciated that my hard work isn't in vain. And he asked me if I would be willing to read and review his novel on my channel, and I said, yeah, sure, but I'm going to give it an honest review. He asked me if I wanted to have a digital copy or a physical copy, and because it seems a bit more personal, I asked for a physical copy. So the way this book is structured is that it has a profile about the person or the author that actually wrote the story, and it goes into a little bit about the detail about how they became a cannibal and how they consumed human flesh, either on purpose or by accident, and how sometimes people in this book actually tasted blood or drunk blood, and it also describes how Evan came across these people and how these stories ended up in this collection. And then it goes into the actual story by the person themselves. Also at the end there is an epilogue which is written by Evan, and it does mention vegans or veganism and what certain people eat, whether they're vegans, vegetarians or meat eaters. It's only 2 pages long, so if you're easily triggered by that or easily sensitive about that subject, then give this one a miss, or actually give that section a miss rather. So that's how the book is structured. So before I go into all these stories, guys, I just want to give a little surprise here, that all these 10 authors, all the profiles, every single one of them are actually completely fictional. Yes, all these authors, all these cannibals in this book are made up people that Evan made up himself and decided to actually write them in a collection. And also all these short stories are written by Evan himself. The reason why he did this, as far as I'm aware, is that it's something that he is calling his Odd series, where he writes out a short story collection based around a theme, and that actually grabs your attention. And cannibals probably grabs everyone's theme because it's something morbid. He told me that in short story collections we actually have trouble separating the authors from their stories, and we kind of judge the stories solely based on the authors themselves without even reading their respective stories. And he also told me that he wanted to write a collection based around a group of individuals that you went into straight away not liking or even hating at times, but you went into their stories thinking, okay, they are terrible people, but okay, that story wasn't half bad. So before I tell you guys what the stories are all about, let me just take you over to Evan now, where he will be telling you a little bit about his novel.
Hello, David. I'm Evan Witmer. I'm a 6'3" self-published author from the untamed wilds of central Pennsylvania. The book you'll be reading is Digest, 10 short stories by convicted and plausible people-eaters. It's part of a series I'm working on. You see, I post most of my stories for free on my website, oddfiction.com. At the end of the year, I take down the 10 best stories and publish them in an anthology with an outlandish framing device. My first book was Pages from the Pizza Crows, about a bird that trades me short stories for pizza slices. In this one, each story is preceded by a short biography on the fake author that wrote the story. Each of these authors has participated in the consumption of human flesh in one way or another. Sometimes they're your classic serial killer, sometimes it's more of a Donner Party situation, and other times it's done completely legally for stage entertainment. I got the idea for this framing device after reading this short story collection where each short story was submitted by a different first time author. I realized there were tons of anthologies like this where the connective tissue was the type of author, not so much the theme of the stories. I saw one where it was all fans of Philip K. Dick, another where it was all grade school teachers writing the stories. Well, I've decided to go with cannibals. The stories themselves don't necessarily have to do with cannibalism. It's stereotypical to think a cannibal can only write about cannibalism. Instead, we have religious dramas like Jesus Christ Meets the Chupacabra, or conspiracy fiction like The Life and Times of a Rockefeller Pregnancy Zombie. Each story is a unique adventure, applying unusual twists to established tropes. I would like to thank you, David, for agreeing to review my work, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts.
Thanks for that, Evan. And if you want to contact him, I will put a bunch of contact information down below. He's a really, really nice guy. He's really easy to talk to. And I will also have a link down below where you can actually find his novel. And as always, this is going to be a spoiler-free video, and this is going to be my own thoughts and feelings regarding all these stories in this book. But before I do so, I just want to say a massive trigger warning here. Basically, for everything, if you're easily offended or triggered by anything, then be warned going into this book. So the first story is called Margaritaville, and it has a trigger warning for drug abuse. I can't remember much about this story apart from it obviously being about a man that is heavily addicted to drugs and the consumption of alcohol. I thought it was a kind of okay story, nothing special. I give it 2 stars. Next is a story which I'm not sure if I'm going to say this right, but it's called Comorbidity, and it has extreme violence throughout the book, or throughout the story. And it is from the perspective of a zombie while the apocalypse is happening. And I thought it was a really interesting story about how these zombies kind of squirt all this liquid from their eyes to infect other people. I thought it was kind of a unique way of infecting other people rather than simply biting everyone. About how they communicated with each other and how they kind of survived and how they adapt to this world. And yeah, I thought it was an interesting take. So I gave it a 2.5 stars out of 5. Next is a story called Jesus Christ Meets the Chupacabra, and this has several trigger warnings for animal abandonment and endangerment, bestiality, and violence. And it touches briefly on blasphemy, but only briefly. It's only been about 1 sentence. It's not as blasphemous as I thought it was going to be, so massive shock there. But this story is about a cute little dog who, as a puppy, he gets abandoned by his owner at the back of an alley, and how he gets into fights with other dogs, and how he comes across a little figurine of Jesus Christ, and how this figure comes alive, and how the figure gets on the dog's back and informs the dog that there is this man going around impregnating goats. It is weird, but there is kind of a underlining story or theme of cuteness throughout that story, and I thought that it was a really interesting story. This was actually one of the books that one of the stories that I actually liked in this collection. So I gave that a 2.5 stars out of 5. Next we have is a Vacancy in Staffordshire, and this has a trigger warning for slight drug abuse. I can't remember much about this story apart from it being about a group of people in the woods, and they have to try to find these 2 kids that have these black eyes, and I can't remember much about it. It was okay. I give it 2 stars. Next is one called The Life and Times of a Rockefeller Pregnancy Zombie. Even though it has zombie in the title, I'm pretty sure it has nothing to do with zombies, and if it does, it is so minute, or I actually skimmed it or missed that part, but not sure why it has zombie in the title. This has a trigger warning for child abandonment and child endangerment. This is about a little girl who she gets abducted, and she gets injected with this stuff that make her want to constantly have kids all the time as she grows up. If she constantly feels that she has to keep on reproducing and having kids because she feels that if she doesn't, she will die or something bad will happen to her. And when her kids finally meet up with her, she doesn't want to have anything to do with them. She just wants to basically be having kids and not dealing with the consequences of that action. I actually really like that story so much, as it kind of touches on the fact about how young girls in our society nowadays are having kids way too young, and how they keep on having sex and how they keep on pumping out all these kids. I actually like that kind of about how that touched on that subject. So I like this story. So I give it a 3 stars out of 5. Next we have a story called Ring the Bells, which is about slavery. So trigger warning there. And this is a period piece where all these women are getting murdered. As I said, it does have slavery. I was a bit confused about this story, but B from B Reading told me that it is about a man who goes around killing women that are the daughters of slave masters because they have slaves, and he wants to punish them for doing that by killing their daughters. I thought that this was a great story, so massive thumbs up for actually touching on that subject, Evan. It was really, really cool. But this story for me was kind of a okay story. Shame though. I'll give it a 2 stars out of 5. Next is my favourite story in this collection, and that is called Zoolands. This is about werewolves, and this is about a town that everyone in this town either turns into a wolf or a deer, and how they are constantly fighting with each other when they turn into these creatures. It's not really like werewolves. I'm pretty sure it's kind of like a real wolf, not like a werewolf. I thought it was really, really cool. But when they are all human, they don't trust each other, but they kind of put up with each other. The wolves are kind of the predators, and the deers are kind of like the prey. I really like this story so much. It does touch on other people that turn into other animals, such as bears and panthers. I liked it. It was really, really cool. I wouldn't mind if Evan wrote a whole book based on that story or that short story collection. So I really liked it. I give it a 4 stars out of 5. Next is one called Glee Maiden, and this has a trigger warning for extreme gore throughout, and this is about killer clowns. All these clowns have a kind of a competition about who can be the most sadistic and kill people in the most imaginative and gory and violent ways, and they're kind of judged on their performance. I thought it was a interesting story, not one of my favourites surprisingly. So I give it a 2.5 stars out of 5. Next we have a story called Antiquing, and this is kind of a unique story, as far as I'm aware, when people die, they are kind of resurrected as pieces of furniture in this house. But it's not like the furniture in Beauty and the Beast, where they have eyes and limbs, arms and legs, and they can walk around and interact with each other and see each other. Some of these pieces of furniture don't actually have any limbs or any eyes. Some of them do. Some of them can see and do other things that other pieces of furniture cannot do. It's a unique story. I give it a 2 stars out of 5. And the last story, which is called 6 O's, I didn't make any notes for it, surprisingly, so I cannot remember anything about this story, and I can't give it a rating because I haven't actually written out a rating for it or any notes for it, so I can't remember what it's about. so it would be unfair to give it a rating. But overall, the collection as a whole, I am going to give a 3 stars out of 5. So what I liked about this story is the imaginative quality that Evan has. Although most of his stories were kind of either misses or average stories at best, and there are only a small handful of stories I actually liked. But it never surprises me about how people, about how all these unknown people have this strong imagination and come up with these stories, because all these stories came from Evan's mind. He may be influenced by movies or TV series or songs, because he was influenced with some music to actually do some of these stories with, or actually for. But I liked that all these stories came from his mind and from his perspective, so that's why I enjoy it. And what I disliked was the fact that, as I said, a lot of these stories were kind of okay or average, and it's not that I hated them, it's just that I didn't really have an opinion on them. I just read them and I thought, okay, yeah, this is okay, but I'm not enjoying it. Can we move on to the next one? But I appreciated what he actually did for that story, that he actually tried. So, but all these stories, I mean, you may like some stories I thought that were okay, but you may think that they were incredible. So I think it's more of from a perspective type of thing, whether what stories you would like in this book over others. So yeah, so I would just keep that in mind if you choose to read this. So in conclusion, this book isn't going to be for everyone. If you read a lot of mainstream stuff, then this isn't going to be the novel for you to actually read. If you have read loads of novels by independent authors, specifically horror or maybe weird fiction, then yeah, I would definitely give this one a try. But as all short story collections, not all the stories in any short story collection, just pick one out at random, either by separate authors or by the same person. Not every single story is going to be of the same quality, and this collection is no exception to that rule. But again, if you like weird fiction, if you like something that's going to be a bit more outrageous and out there and weird, then yeah, I would highly recommend this. But it's not going to be for everyone, so be warned about that, guys. But for me, I'm definitely going to hang on to this. This is going to have a place on my shelf, and I will go back to this story, and who actually knows, maybe I will like some of these stories that I thought that were okay slightly more or even better than the first time I read them. So that's it, guys. That is my review on Digest. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a like. Comment down below, let me know if you read this, if you enjoyed it. If you didn't enjoy it, let me know if I've maybe inspired you to pick it up. As I said, I will be linking a bunch of contact information about Evan down below, so please do not hesitate to reach out to him. He is a very, very cool and sweet guy. He really is. And yeah, let me know if you are interested in picking this book up, and we can have a discussion about it down in the comments down below if you want to. If you have enjoyed this video as a whole, please consider subscribing to my channel, as it helps out so much. If you do subscribe, please click on that wonderful bell so it tells you whenever I upload videos, which are every Monday and Friday. I will also have a link down below to my Goodreads account in case you want to follow me on Goodreads and see what I'm reading, or message me. Maybe you are an author yourself and you want to contact me or reach out to me about reading your book. I'm more than willing to do that. And yeah, with all that out of the way, have a great day, read some awesome books, and I will see you all in my next video.